some of you might not know who we are or what we do. So I'm more than happy. It won't be too long, I promise, and hopefully I won't make it too boring or anything, since it's got info in it. But thank you for the intro. And going from that, my name is Matthew Morrow. I am the Texas recruiter for Capgemini. So I am in charge of Houston and Dallas. So if any of you are looking to possibly further your career in that area within Houston or Dallas, you are speaking to the right person. But if not, we're all over the United States, and we are also a worldwide company too, with offices in India, France. Our headquarters is actually in France, so that's, I don't know if any of you are interested in that as well. But we are all over the U.S. But for tonight, I'm here to promote Houston and Dallas a little bit more, since I am the recruiter for that. And what we are too, we are, like I said, Capgemini, and we do technology consulting. And I know a lot of you in here, this is the Society for Women Engineers. So I'm not sure how many of you might be. Let me ask you a question. Is it all different types of engineers, or is it more traditional engineers kind of thing? Or
We're mostly computer science, but we do have some variety in our majors.
okay, perfect. But yeah, so even with the computer science, or whichever major you are for engineering, we offer a broad spectrum for everybody to join. And I think it's great because if you have an interest in technology, this is a great place to start too. Don't think just because we do technology consulting, it's strictly coding and things like that too. I promise you it's not. It's a lot of the best of both worlds, business and technology. So, going from that, I'll kind of get into it. And before that, like I said, we'll do this PowerPoint, and then I'll get straight into the behavioral questions and everything with the workshop, and then it'll be perfect. But, going from that, we truly do see things differently at Capgemini. And, we really believe that, all the technology we have is made by people for people. And everything we do and everything we say, it all centers around that people are at the center of everything we do. And everyone that comes on for the company isn't we don't want to just say you're an asset or you're this or that. You're not. You're a person. And people are literally, like, I can't drive that home any further, because people are literally at the center of everything. Yes, you would be an asset or a great resource for the company, but we don't see it that way. We see you as, your time and your effort for this company is truly valued. And we want to make sure that every day when you come in, you have your voice heard, and everything you're working on has a purpose, whether it's the client, whichever one you're on, or any of the technology you're using to help better any problems around you. That's truly what we believe. And I really want to be able to drive home that fact, because without people, we literally can't do anything, because all of our work is centered around the technology and the people. And then going from that too, I don't know if any of you found this, if you're doing research or anything. If not, it's all good. These are our 7 values we have. And, these 7 core values, they help guide our business decisions and shape our culture. I promise you don't have to know these right now or anything. But like I said, just like the people, these values are also at the heart of everything we do. And in order to be a great company, an ethical company, and to one that really drives home all our values and everything, we truly stick to these 7 core ones. And without that, we wouldn't be the company we are today. And then also, a lot of what we do too is delivering value through collaboration. And, we really bridge business and technology, and we really want to help enable our clients to realize their business ambitions. So a lot of the value that we do deliver, like it says at the top, is through collaboration. When you come on with the company, you will be part of a team. You will be part of the unit that works together every day to help solve business problems. We don't just think you're alone in this company. There's always someone willing to help, whether it's outside of what you're working on or it's something within your own team. There's always someone there to help you and to guide you and show you the way. And I'm truly glad to say that, because, the people around you, your managers, your coworkers, whoever it may be within the company, truly has your back and truly wants to help you succeed in this company. And we want to be able to show that, it's only possible with the people, and the people that work for us, because it's only everything we do is through the collaboration. And that truly drives home our value as a company and really helps shape and realize our own ambitions as well as our clients' ambitions. And another thing too that's great about Capgemini is, we truly believe we are architects of positive futures as well. And, we really want to leverage our expertise to create that positive impact and also respond to major social and environmental challenges. And within Capgemini, there are employee resource groups, and there are 11 of these. And within these resource groups, each one centers around something different in the company. They can have a broad range of what they do outside of work, and that's truly what it centers around, is that environment outside of the work. Because yes, at the end of the day, you are doing work that, I hope you would love to do the work in what you're doing, but it also, a second thing to that, what we do outside of work, and we really want to make a positive impact on the outside world and truly show people that we are trying to strive for a positive future. And we hope, if any of you do come in and join the company, we hope there's a fit for you somewhere outside of the company within one of these groups, because that's truly what they are for everyone, to be able to find that fit outside of work. And another thing too is our corporate social responsibility ambition. And we have these three pillars down here with diversity, digital inclusion, and environmental sustainability. To be recognized worldwide as a leading responsible company, we really need to use our expertise for a positive impact. And that truly hinges on the way we follow these three pillars here. Definitely diversity. We want to build that inclusive workplace, attract and retain the diverse workforce, and you really help Capgemini as well as our employees to thrive. We really are a diverse company, and we have people from all different backgrounds, all different areas, all different types of studies. Whatever you could think of, we have that person. Capgemini is truly something for everyone, and that's fantastic because everyone has something different to bring to the table. And as a company, that's awesome to be able to show that off and show people that, hey, we're not just some linear company with a linear idea. There's all kinds of different people thinking of something on the, whether it's on the inside of the company, the outside of whatever it is. There's always someone bringing an idea to the table that you might not have never known was something you could do. And that's really awesome to be diverse workforce that we have. And another thing too is our digital inclusion. We really want to use our skills to help societies address the impact of the digital and automation revolution. And what that is that technology is constantly growing and changing. And a lot of work we do is centered around the technology aspect. So whether any of you have interest in technology or maybe not have interest in technology, what we do as a company is centered around that. So there's always something new to learn, something new to have your interest in. So keep up to date with anything you have an interest in within the technology sector. You can always look it up, find something that we're doing, or anything that's going on, and truly see how expansive and how much of an impact technology has on our world. And the final pillar here is the environmental sustainability. We really want to minimize our environmental impacts, build business resilience against climate change, and really support our clients with their sustainability challenges. And that's also leads back into that architects of the positive future slide I talked about, because we don't just want to be a company that stays within its own walls. We want to have an impact on the outside world. And we really want to show people too that, we're not just looking for an impact within Capgemini itself. Like I said, we really want to have that growth, that expansive, and also take care of everything around us too. So going from there, this is towards the end of the slide, I promise. Like I said, I was going to try to keep it short and sweet so we can get to the behavioral interview, everything, and give you guys some tips and tricks. But make sure to connect with us. You can always visit our website at capgemini.com. You can always keep up to date on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. If you just want to Google us, you'll find this. However you want to look or whatever you want to do, we are there. You can always discuss innovation with our specialists. You can learn about tomorrow's tech trends and innovation, and you can always follow the best of business and technology news. So that is the end of the slide. I don't know if anyone has any questions pertaining with that. Can we open it up for questions and then I can get to the workshop after, if that sounds good, or how should we do it?
Yeah, I think, do you have access to the chat? Are you able to view the chat?
I think I can. Were people typing
Or,
questions
no,
already?
I'll just monitor the chat, and if anyone has any questions, they can either come off mute or paste them there, and I can let you know if you want to move on to the other slide as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, for now, I'll just, if anyone has a question, we can go from there. But the thing is, too, I'm here tonight also to say that we are hiring for full time. And I don't know how many of people in here are graduating this semester, next, or in the summer of next year, because we are looking for full time roles. And we don't have internships per se, but we do have a program called Rise that if any of you are not graduating anytime soon and you really want to get a feel for our company, we do have a program called our Rise program. And what that is, it's 4 to 5 days long, gives you a glimpse into what it's like to be a consultant. And you're given a problem statement, you're working on that problem statement, you're doing PowerPoints, presentations the whole week, working with the team. So if that interests anybody, I can always share more information about that as well. And typically at the end of that program, we like to give out offers. So it's kind of an incentive for people to try to join the program too. But like I said, it's typically the first or second week of August, and it's about 4 to 5 days long. And like I said, I'm more than happy to provide any more information on that as well. And what I can do too is at the end of this meeting tonight, I can send you the links to our full-time application um,
Mhm.
for people to apply, and I can also send you an interest survey for the Rise program I just talked about too.
That sounds great, and we can definitely get that information distributed in our Weekly.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I will do that. In the meantime, I will open it up for questions really quick if anyone has any. And then I'll go into the behavioral workshop event that we have going on. So if anyone has a question about the company as a whole, or anything that's available, or maybe the Rise program, I'm more than happy to answer that. If not, I'm also going to. I can type in the chat too, correct? And I can. Well, I have access to type in the chat. Oh, I do. Okay. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to
Okay.
do is, okay, sorry, I think you might be lagging a little bit, and I don't know. Maybe it's my internet.
No, I see that you're typing in the chat. I think that's
Perfect.
showing it.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my email in the chat too. So if anyone has any further questions, at the end of the event tonight, or just in general, feel free to send me an email asking for more info. I'll give my email again to you, Anne, tonight, in case anyone misses it, or whatever happens, they forget it. So that way you'll have it. But like I said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to come off of mute, type it in the chat, whatever you want to do. I'll do that. And then if no one has any questions, we'll move into the behavioral workshop event.
I actually do have a question about the Rise program.
Yes.
Is that for undergraduates that are graduating soon, or is it for people that are like in the middle of their college career?
So it's typically for people who are juniors and getting ready to graduate. So if you are a junior and let's say in August you're graduating in May of 2023, it would be for someone like you too. Or if you're graduating next December, it'd be for you as well. And it's typically so that way when you finish the program, you can come in and you'll already have a full-time offer kind of thing before you graduate. So that's typically the timeline for people who do the program.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yes, perfect. Okay. Any other questions? You don't have, no one has to ask a question, I promise. I'm not forcing anyone to. And like I said, we'll go right to the event if no one has any questions. Oh, okay, I see someone. What's the application process like for Rise? Yes. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this event, I'm going to send an email with the survey for the Rise program. And it's not open yet for applications. It's just a survey. So whoever filled out that survey, when the application opens, we're going to send out an email blast to everyone on there. And whoever's on there, you can apply for the program. And then after that, we'll start trying to bring people in for the program. So that's typically like the process. It should open up next year. The process, just because it's in August of every year, it's still a long time away. So that's typically what the application process looks like. And I'll give that link to Anne at the end of the meeting as well. And I see some other people, see someone typing too. And like I said, feel free to type questions in the chat, come off of mute, raise your hand, whatever you want to do. Okay, I see someone typing, but I'll give them a second. Okay, what I'll do is okay, we can start transitioning to the event. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me plug in my. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to go to the event. And did you have anything else um for anything like for the before I move to the event? Is there anything else I need to do, or think we're pretty good right now?
No, that sounds good. And for everyone in SWE, I'll get the information about the RISE program disseminated through the SWE weekly updates.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then now we will move to the event with a workshop. So what I'll do is, so first off, thanks everyone for dealing with. I just wanted to give some info in case any of you didn't know who we are and what we do. But now I'm going to transition this fully to the behavioral workshop event. So for an example, what we do in Capgemini is for your interview, it's typically 2 behavioral interviews and 1 technical interview. So, and what that is, behavioral interviews situated more around asking you questions. Um, it's not technical in a sense. It's more getting a feel to see how you are and how you can handle things. I will get into more specifics after that. I have questions here and everything to help everyone out, so I promise. But that's typically how we do things. We do 2 behavioral, 1 technical. And even if you aren't technical, you still have to do all 3 interviews. And it deals a lot with really finding out the fit of the company and how we think you will manage everything. And before I get into the actual questions and giving you some more tips, I just wanted to say, the main thing too about a behavioral interview is even for like a tech company of ourselves, it's really centered around trying to see how good of a fit you are within the company. And yes, you still have the basic questions like tell me about yourself, all of these things. We still have to do the boring ones in a sense to where, we want to get a fit for, how you are, what you can do within the company. So I think that's a lot to do with, in a sense, that don't let an interview overwhelm you kind of thing, because even though like for us it's 3 interviews, that can seem a lot to people. And another thing too for us, for an example of the stages for our interview, we typically do all our interviews at once. So there's no like first round and then okay, you get an email, okay, let's go to the second round and then let's go to the final round. No, we do ours to where you do all 3 of your interviews in 1 week, and it could be between Monday through Thursday, whatever time you want to do. We're starting to adapt more with the online setting. Everyone, we're still online and we're still all adjusting and everything too, and we're trying our best. But that's kind of how we do our things with that, and it's typically the whole week. You could do it back to back to back if you want to, and nobody will say anything. But like I said, it's all centered around the 2 behavioral for us and then 1 technical. So I know I keep talking about it. So let me actually get into it now. So what I want to ask is, does anyone want to volunteer to? I have some questions here. It's not going to be a full interview, I promise. I just want someone to get a feel for some of the questions we might do. So if anyone wants to come off of mute and try your hand at some of these questions, I'll just read like 5 of them. I promise. It won't be it won't be a full interview. And then at the end, we can do it. I can give some tips and tricks, but does anyone want to take a shot at trying any of the questions? If not, that's totally fine. I'll do it. I'll go through the questions myself and help out. But does anyone want to take a stab at it and be the brave soul? I hope I'm not scaring anybody.
Anyone from SWE willing to be brave and give it a try?
I promise I'll only ask 5 questions and it will all be behavioral questions too. And I promise I'm not trying to be scary or anything. I'm really trying to help everyone with their interviews because every company is different. And I really want to, at the end, to give, like I said, the tips and some more insight. But I think if someone was to do this now in front of him, you wanted, if someone wants to do it, it'll help ease some of the tension when you do an actual interview. I see in the chat someone said they will do it. Maha, okay. So, all right, Maha, whenever you want to come off of mute and gather yourself, I know you don't have to come on camera or anything, I promise. I'm just going to ask you some questions that we typically ask someone. And if anyone wants to take notes or write this down, if you ever see yourself applying at Capgemini, you got some insider info. You at least got 5 questions you can solidly nail. So hopefully we can do that. So I'll wait till she comes off of mute and we can do that. And
Yeah. Am I still muted?
No, we can hear you. I can hear you at least.
Hmm.
Perfect. Thank you for volunteering and being a brave soul for this. I promise, like I said, it's only going to be five. I'll give you five questions. And what I'll do is, answer them the best you can. We'll treat it like an actual interview. And then at the end, I'll give everyone some tips and all that. But I kind of just want to use this as a way so that way no one is really nervous when they interview and just realize like, hey, you know, don't let it overwhelm you. But I already know it's taking a lot of courage for you to get up and to even answer these questions. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right. You ready? Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So I'll start it off. The first question we typically ask in a candidate is we like to ask someone, the traditional to get started, tell me a little about yourself. But when you tell us about yourself, a little tip and trick for this one is don't just talk about um, strictly in school what you're doing. Talk about what you're doing outside of school too. Talk about what you're interested in. Talk about something that you might be willing to learn, kind of thing. Because we're really using this to gauge where we see you could be within the company. So don't be too generic about it, but kind of give us a little bit of an insight into what you're doing outside of everything too. Okay.
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 Does this, when you say like outside of school, does that
Mhm.
also mean like outside of like student organizations and things like that?
Forgive me. I meant when I say outside of school, I mean student organizations as well. So being in SWE like this too would be a perfect example of you to describe to us, or you know, doing those two. And if you're also working on something outside of school as well, please talk about that. But also don't ignore the school aspect. That's important. Yes, that's all very important. Just try to show them that you are you're doing things outside of school as well, and you're working on everything too, because that's also important as well what you're doing. Like SWE would be a perfect thing to describe to us too. So, so feel free to do that too. I hope I'm making sense. I hope that makes sense. Not trying to be too confusing about it.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
A
perfect.
little
Okay,
about
yes.
my um okay, actually I do have another question. So like
Yeah, go ahead.
when people ask this kind of question, I feel like typically students start with introducing like their major and their school year and stuff,
Hmm.
and then would it be appropriate to start with that and then kind of go off into like things that aren't necessarily related to school?
Yeah,
Or
so yeah, that would be a good the best thing to so whenever someone's interviewing you in Capgemini too, they also have your resume. So they're also looking at what you've done already too. So the best thing to do would definitely be to introduce yourself and say, "Hey, my name's Matthew. I was a human resource major in school. So I'm a human resource major at LSU because I went to Louisiana State University, and go do talk a little bit about that too, but also, and then after that, then you can transition it to what you think is the right course. If you want to talk about school and what you're doing, feel free to do that, but I'm trying to tell you it's best to diversify as well what you're saying, just so that way you can prove that you're an excellent candidate for the position and everything. Okay.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
I have questions.
Okay. Yes, so we'll get started. The first one I'll ask you is, to get started, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Maha, and I'm a senior in electrical engineering at the University of Texas at Dallas. So, a little bit about myself. I've been heavily involved in the Society of Women Engineers at UTD for the past 3 years. And I'm also part of a sorority that takes a lot of dedication and commitment at UTD. And then, kind of outside of school, what I'm interested in. So it's a little bit outside of my major, but I'm really interested in like web development and React and Node.js specifically. I've worked with it a little bit through an internship I had, a software engineering internship I had. And so that's kind of something that I'm interested in and hoping to create like a personal website through that. So
Okay.
yeah.
That was fantastic. I don't know if you've interviewed with companies already or anything, but that was really fantastic. I like that. That was the great blend of talking about, what you're doing in school, what you're involved with, and then what you're interested in outside of school. I will tell you what, they will eat that up. If you tell them you are interested, whatever you're interested outside of school, something like that, the web development, all that too, that is helping you in your favor in the interview. So you telling me that, I'm starting to get a feel for you and thinking, okay, um, Maha, you're really involved with this outside of school too, and you seem, capable of being able to learn different things as well. That's fantastic. So I don't really have too much to critique on that. You really did good on that one. So I'm glad that was really good response. So if everyone in here, if you're taking notes or if you're trying to get a feel of what you should do, Maha nailed that on the head. That's a great question because, you know, even if we don't answer that, um, I think a lot of the times people get stumped on some of the questions like that, like tell me about yourself, just because sometimes it might be a little awkward to talk about yourself and what you've done. But if you can really get a game plan going and really pick, be short and sweet. If you can really get a center on what you're talking about, like Maha did, that is fantastic. And that was really good. So I really don't have much else to say on that one. That was really good. So if you're ready for the next question, I am also ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So another question, I'm going to it. So like with the behavioral interviews, we want to see if we're comfortable putting you in front of a client. Because at the end of the day, we are technology consulting. Yeah, you'll be working with technology, but at the end, we want to know if you are capable of learning that. But at the same time, can you articulate that to a client? You're given a problem. Can you take that problem and articulate that back to the client in a way to a solution? Excuse me. So a lot of like I said, a lot of the positions we have, there are people who do super coding and super technical things and they really won't be in front of a client. But there's also people that will be in front of a client and will be doing things like that too. And I'd say that's a majority of the people in this company, they will be in front of the client. So we're also trying to see, like I said, if you would be a good fit within the company. So, this next question will really give us that feel. So, all right, Maha, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this question is, describe a situation where you were given a tight deadline to deliver a high quality product. What was the timeline and nature of the task? How did you handle the timeline? And, what did you do to really address the need for that high quality product? And, that's pretty much the question. So,
Whoa, that's a very tough question.
okay.
May I please have a moment to think? Mm, okay. Yeah, sure. So this past summer, I interned at Texas Instruments as a product and test engineer. And so one of the products that I was working on an offload of a MEMS device. And so I had a tight deadline just because the summer was ending and there were some manufacturing and testing issues with the lab. It was a virtual internship, so I wasn't actually able to physically complete the tests or help out with the delays like in testing. And so the timeline became tight towards the end and being able to have conclusive results to present to the quality team. And so what I did was that I tried to find like an avenue to be able to work on the project and to be able to deliver like what I could without and like have everything basically ready so that once I had the test results ready toward the end of the internship, I was able to just add those into my presentation and be able to like give that to the quality team. And in the end, my proposal got approved. And so after my internship ended, of course, I wasn't able to continue working on that. But they've taken my proposal and are starting to work on that now. So, yeah.
Ma, I'm really starting to think you might have interviewed with Capgemini at some point because that was also really great answer to that. And I wanted to give a tip too. You really, when you said in the beginning, let me think of something, that was good in the sense to where some of you might not, it, all of us come from different experiences and different backgrounds. Some of you might not have worked on a high quality product yet, or maybe you did something similar to that. I think the best way to go about that is just to describe something that you think is similar in the regards. Or if you did work on a product like Maha, you can always describe that. And Maha, you really described that perfectly as well. That was really great. You really answered all the questions too that I asked, about the deadline, the nature of the task and all the timeline pieces, everything. That was, like I said, I'm really starting to think you might have interviewed with us already. So that was also really good. The one thing I want to point out too is Maha, I know you were in the beginning, you were thinking a little bit about the question. That was really good in the sense to where you said, "Hey, give me a second so I can gather my thoughts." And there's nothing wrong with saying that too. I think the best thing to do in an interview is do not say "I don't know." Never, excuse me, sorry, never say no and just leave it that, or never say I don't know and leave it at that as well. If you don't know the answer to a question, or if you need time to gather your thoughts, say that. Say, hey, can you give, hey, I worked on this product. Give me a second to get. Can I have a minute to gather my thoughts so I can explain everything to you, in a better way? Or if you don't know the answer, the greatest thing for you to say if you don't know an answer is to say, "I do not know at this time. I would love to learn more. If you have the answer to that, please." I would love to know now. If not, I will look up the question and get back to you with it. And that doesn't really pertain to that question because it's asking you more about something you did, but that's great advice to know if you don't know the answer to something or if you need a minute to collect your thoughts. Like, just be honest and say it. Don't be scared, don't be nervous. Take your time and then think of something you've done. But I guarantee you, if you do have an interview with us, they are going to ask that question. So like I said, if you have any interest in us as a company, and I think a lot of consulting companies will ask you that too. Excuse me. So if you ever find yourself in an interview with a consulting company, 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask you about a product you were working on and delivered on a deadline. Because as a consulting company, that's what we do too. We work with deadlines. We work with the software, the technology to deliver any solutions we have. So 9 times out of 10, that question is going to come. So make sure you remember that. And Maha, it was great. That was a really great response again. You're 2 for 2 right now, so I'm hoping this goes good. I'll give you 3 more questions, and we'll, like I said, I'll give you some tips and tricks on that too. But moving on from that, the next question I have for you, Maha, is describe your most important leadership experience. What was the situation, and what was the impact you had as a leader?
Okay, sure. Um, so I didn't say this earlier in my introduction, but I am actually the president of the Society of Women Engineers at UTD. And so that's honestly been my greatest leadership experience. I started as the treasurer, and then last year during COVID, I was the vice president. And now, as the president, I just see like we've grown a lot, and I think that I've grown a lot in terms of my communication and being able to check in with like my officers, being able to motivate them to do their work, and making sure that they're keeping a balance between work life. And some of the things that I see through SWE that um, like really motivates me to be a good leader are all of the different programs that we do. So like we have a mentorship program for freshmen and upperclassmen to be paired together. And we also have, our industry and outreach events. And we constantly have we have feedback every semester from our members, and they always give us so many tips and tell us how helpful these kinds of events are for them. And then we also have, a couple of other programs like our competition program and our conference program. So just like seeing the benefits that everyone has always been has always motivated me to be a good leader. And yeah, that's honestly my greatest leadership experience.
Okay. No, that is fantastic. Maha, you're now 3 for 3. So I'm glad to say that. That was really great on the insight. I didn't know you were the president either. So I'm glad it's nice to talk to the president. It's good to meet you. But you know, besides from that, it was really good how you described, your role as the leader and what you're doing, what you're doing this year, what you have plans for next year, whatever it is. And if you find yourself that maybe some of you in here. You could be part of another club, or maybe you're not a president like Maha yet and you're still gaining experience. Don't be scared to talk about something. You don't have to be the president of a club, or you don't have to be super high up in something else to talk about a leadership experience. Talk about the time where you took charge in a class project, or you took charge in something outside of school that you're working on. Whatever it is, we kind of, like I said, it all boils down to see how we want to gauge you as a consultant, because at the end of the day, you are a consultant, and that's truly what we're looking for. So, like I said, Maha's example was fantastic. She's the president and she's working, they're doing this year. You guys are working on this. Everything you told me was a great response. But like I said, if you don't have that experience yet as a leader, you're not a president yet, don't sweat that, okay? Time will come and you will start showing your leadership experience more. So really describe something that you're passionate about and that you took charge with. It could be from anything. Like I said, it could be in school, it could be out of school. Use that as an example. Okay. And that was really great answer, Maha. Thank you again. We're 3 for 3. So I'm gonna do 2 more questions. And then after the 2 more questions, I'll have if anyone has any follow-up questions, I'm more than happy to answer that as well. And we'll close out the event too. But like I said, we got 2 more questions for you, Maha. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Here's a question for you. Describe how you have stayed current on the changes that are happening in the business world or marketplace. For example, what resources have you used and what might have you have learned looking this up within the business world?
Hmm. Okay. Well, uh, I know like that everyone who is applying, has an education from school, but of course, like you mentioned, there are these new trends and there's a lot of changes that happen. And so we aren't able to necessarily learn that from school, right? So the way that I like to keep up with like trends that are changing in technology and in the business place is first just like keeping up with what's going on in the world. So like watching the news and looking at social media and seeing like where those changes are happening. And then from there, like I start to like think of questions, and I actually keep a list of these kinds of questions that I have. So that if I have any moment like from my busy schedule, I'm able to just like look them up, watch some YouTube videos, and like just ask those questions and search them up online. Honestly, Google is my best friend when it comes to staying up with those trends. So yeah, that's how I would keep up with that.
Okay, that's another really good 4 to 4, Maha. We're doing good here. That was a great response to that, and for everyone listening too, that is really important because I just want to say too. Look, school is one of the most important things you'll do. I firmly believe that. Um, but at the same time, there's only so much school will teach you, and I think we all know that. And a lot of times, a lot of experience we'll get to is outside of the classroom. So even as a company, we encourage you to continue learning even outside of the workplace. Okay, we're not asking you to work when you're done with your hours, but it's encouraging to have, like, us as a company. It's encouraging to know that there's always room to grow and to learn something new. And I think the best thing to know is that even when you're done work or you're done with school for the day, always stay up to date and learn something new. And like Ma said, whatever, if you're working on something like technology, whatever it is you're working on, talk about that. Talk about how you're looking up this latest innovation and you're trying to stay up to date with it. Mention that. Or you can mention, you stay up to date looking up through Google, whatever it is you want to do to stay on top of everything. That is really important because it also shows how you're interested in learning outside of the workplace, because, typically, like me, for example, like before I became a recruiter, I was in the Oracle practice for Capgemini for a whole year. And during that year, I was a consultant. And, something I really loved doing was, when I was done work, yeah, that time's for me to do whatever I want. I'm not working anymore. But sometimes, you find yourself looking up different changes, looking up latest things, studying the things you're learning even more. So it's always good to have that interest in something, when you're done for the day, something you want to do. So, like I said, Maha, that was a great response to that too. I hope that made sense. Some of the tips I gave on that too. And we're going to move to the final question. Okay, Maha?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. And Here's one question. What is your personal brand?
Oh wow, I've heard this question before. Okay.
I did it on purpose. I did it on
Mm,
purpose.
hmm. Okay. Well, my personal brand, I think that my personal brand would definitely be integrity. That's just like what I live by. Um, in terms of just like knowing what is right and what isn't, and living by that in everything that I do. So not just work, but also like in school, in my personal life. Um, and so just like making sure that I'm taking into account other people, the consequences, of course, of my actions, and like my own moral compass. So definitely like living by integrity would be my personal brand, I guess.
Okay, fantastic. And Maha, I can honestly say you went 5 for 5 on the questions tonight. Those were really great answers to the questions I gave. I was using all of this. I really did this last one to try to stump you, the personal brand too, because I know it's not axed a lot, but it could be axed. And I really wanted to use this to show, any question could be thrown at you. But that was really fantastic answers to that too, Maha. Like I said, I really think you might have interviewed with us at one time, and you're not telling me. But I really appreciate you answering these questions for us, for everybody, and for the personal brand answer, that was fantastic. Response to that. I think a lot of that deals with how you see yourself as a person. That question, a lot of the times they might ask you that to throw you off, kind of thing. But if you
Mhm.
stick to something, think of a value, the 7 values I talked about in the PowerPoint earlier, think of something like that and really speak something you're passionate about. You can say your personal brand's passion, and you're working on so many of these other things in school, outside of school, whatever it is. Say anything. That question is truly to what you think view as yourself, and use that to show your passion and interest for the company. And like I said, that was a great response to that, Maha. This is all the questions. I know we're running out of, we only have about 10 more minutes to this event. So I wanted to leave the end for any questions or any follow-ups too. But Maha, I really appreciate you answering these questions for me and really stepping up for this. I appreciate that. Like I said, um, these 5 questions too. These could vary between any company. I was just using these questions to show you that anything can be thrown at you as a question. Okay, and you have to be ready for what you do and what you say. So thank you again, Maha. Is there any follow up you have, Maha, or anything, or you think you're okay?
Um, I think I'm okay. That last question, I've like known that like it's like like it's a new question I've never heard of before. So like, I know I
Yeah.
grew up. Like someone else mentioned to me, like personal brand is so important. So, yeah, thank you for these questions. They're really insightful, and your
Yes.
tips. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm trying, but I think thank you for the help too. It really helped show, having someone answer the questions too really helps show everyone like the responses for everything. So thank you again. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open it up for questions in a minute, but I really want to leave this too. Like I said, these 5 questions are just an example of what anyone can ask, but it really pertains to the behavioral piece. And at the end of the day, during the behavioral interview, and this goes beyond Capgemini, okay? Whatever company you go to, good luck with that interview. Interviews are hard, and they take a toll on you because you're really trying to impress a company. I think the best thing for you in a behavioral interview is to always have your interest shown. um, Never say no or I don't know and leave it like that. And another thing is to always have the passion for the company you're interviewing for too. Okay. So for the interest piece, my main thing is I tell people this all the time. Don't lose interest in the company you're interviewing for. So if they ask you something about the company and you don't know it, always have your interest there. Tell them, hey, like for example, if I was to ask Maha a question and she didn't know, the best response to that is, hey, at this time, I don't know the answer to that, but I would love if you tell me the answer or I could find out more about it. That is a great way to answer something you do not know. And like I said about another piece too about the passion of it. If you're applying to a company, really have that passion for them. Do your research on the company too. Some companies might try to stump you and ask you a question about, them or what they did. I'll be honest, when I first interviewed for Capgemini, someone asked me what the 7 values were, and I could only name 3 out of the 7 at the time. I should have did more of my research, but always make sure you do your research and you're passionate about the company you're applying to, and don't ever lose that interest too. And that's kind of where I want to leave it with everything. I hope, I help ease any of your minds. And another tip too, make sure you're always, and I know we're in a virtual environment too, and things are still different. I know a lot of us are still adjusting, most likely to this virtual environment, but make sure you always have your camera on. Even if your interviewer doesn't have their camera on, always have your camera on. Dress the part. Okay, everyone. Yeah, y'all are college students. Y'all know how to dress. Just make sure you are dressed for the part. Show them that you want this job. Have the camera on, like I said, and don't be nervous. Okay, I know that's hard to say. Like, don't be nervous, but just take your time, answer the questions as best as you can, and don't be. And I know being in front of a camera virtually can help increase the nerves. So try to really calm yourself and know that, hey, at the end of the day, I did my best. I went to this interview, and whatever happens happens. Okay, just don't. It just so is so much more room for error on a virtual interview. Like, don't show those signs of being nervous. Make sure you have confidence in what you say. And because, like I said, at the end of the day, especially for a company like us with consulting, we want to see if you can be put in front of a client, and can you learn something that you have not learned before. And that's for every company too. They're going to want to see that. Even if they don't do consulting or have clients, they're going to want to see if you can learn something new or do something else. So I'll leave you with that. I know we have 5 minutes left in this, so I'm going to open it up to questions. Does anyone have any questions about anything? It could be about Capgemini. It could be about any more interview tips, whatever it is. I'm here to help. I promise. I'm not trying to scare anyone with it. I'm really trying to help everyone out with the interview tips.
And if anyone has any questions, you can you can feel free to come off mute or paste them in the chat, and we can get them answered there. But I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I've had like a couple of behavioral interviews, and one question that I feel like has come up a lot that I'm never fully sure how to answer is the questions that ask about like, you know, like any sort of mistakes or like conflicts that you faced at work, stuff like that. Because I feel like I never know exactly what to say about those.
Yeah, for that one especially, I would be as honest as you can. If there was a time in school or outside of school where I don't know how big of a mistake. Like for me, for example, one time I was supposed to, I'll be honest, one time I was supposed to send out a really important report, and I didn't do it. And I got, that was really important, and it had to make the deadline. We're all human, and those things happen. I would be honest with something you did. Don't say something like super bad like you did. Don't be something like that, but be honest in like a mistake you did, and show how you learned from that too. For me, I learned I'm never doing that again. I'm always going to have things on time, and don't talk about the mistake, but then follow up saying, this is what I learned, and this is what I'm not going to make that again. Because, at the end of the day, we're all human, and I've made plenty of mistakes. We've all made plenty of mistakes, professionally in the outside, whatever it is, we've all done that. So I think that's a great way to answer it truthfully and then show what you've learned from that after. Okay. I hope that helped answer it if it did.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and I see someone did type something in the chat too. The question is, should you incorporate humble brags into your behavioral responses? And if yes, how can you do so in a way that doesn't seem like bragging? Okay, this is something that I would be really careful with. It is good to humbly, brag about yourself. When someone's talking about describe yourself, I would talk about, what you've accomplished and what you've done. Just don't go too much and say, I'll give you an example. So it was actually a couple days ago. We had someone bring in for an interview, and he was talking about his skills, but he did so in a way that came off very arrogant. He was saying that I know all of this, I know that. I'm going to get all of this in the company, and I can do anything and everything you tell me. That is very, very arrogant. We don't want someone who is a know-it-all kind of thing. We don't want someone who isn't going to be a team player, isn't going to be like that. We want you to know, like, it's great to throw in the little humble brags, say like, hey, I accomplished this. Like when I was talking about, with one of the questions with Maha with the personal brand. If you want to throw in a humble brag about yourself, something you did, say your personal brand, like Maha said, was integrity, and say you worked on something that truly was you think was the definition of integrity, it's fine to throw that in there. Do that. Go ahead. Just don't think that you know everything and you can learn everything and anything right then and there. Don't talk like that, because the people who are interviewing you are within the company for a while, and they know more than us. They don't want so they don't want someone to come in, and they don't want you to think you know everything when you don't, kind of thing. So I hope that answers it. Like I said, don't be scared to throw in those humble brags. Throw it in there and say, hey, I accomplished this, I did that. But don't go too much and come off as arrogant, okay? Because that will in turn come around and really hurt you in the interview, because a lot of these people that are really really high up want someone who is willing to learn, but they don't want someone who thinks they know everything already. So like I said, hopefully that answers it. You said it does answer it. I'm glad that answers it. So hopefully take that a little bit of advice and roll with that with any company you do an interview with. Okay, perfect. Does anyone have any questions? I'm here to, like I said, help in any way. Put it in the chat, come off of mute. I'm happy to answer it any way I can. If anyone has any follow-up questions, I'm going to put my email in the chat again, in case any of you joined late. Please feel free to send me a question. Excuse me. It could be about interview tips. It could be about anything you want. I'm more than happy to answer any questions again. And also, I'm going to send Anne, after this meeting too, I'm going to send her the links to the RISE survey that we have. And then once the application opens, like I said, we'll send out an email blast to everyone to apply. And I'll also give her the full-time link in case any of you are graduating this semester, next semester, or in the summer. So that way you can apply as well. Okay. Did you have something else to say, Anne, or?
No, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for coming out, and I'll paste the secret link and the word one more time in the chat. And Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I think this was super helpful. I really appreciate your advice, and I feel like I gained a lot. I'm sure everyone else did as well. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad. This was honestly, I'm gonna be honest, this is one of the most fun I've had in an event. I never got to do one this